Investing in property is incredibly simple when you know what to do. And in today's video, I am going to break down the entire purchasing process of a buy-to-let property. Step number one is education. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean go and get a master's in real estate or you need to be RICS accredited or anything like that, but you really need to educate around this in the first place. What that's going to help you do is understand the areas that you want to invest in, the risk that you want to take with your leverage, with mortgages, the strategy that you're going to look at, and how aggressively you're going to approach the market. Now, my recommendation on that, by the way, is listen to as much free content as possible. YouTube, you're on here, right? It's a really great source for that. And you can really work out, does the person know what they're doing or are they full of shit? And you can pretty much tell from the way they present and how much they're needing to read off of a bullet point or something like that. And indeed, do you relate to them? Because you might be watching this and thinking, do you know what? I really buy into Jamie. That's really cool. I'm going to listen to his stuff. Or you might listen to me and go, actually, just annoys me. He's a bit of a knob, whatever. And there's no right or wrong. There are other people on YouTube educating as well. Check us all out, right? When you are ready to then back yourself and invest, find what one of those people, they do educational courses. Can you get involved? Can you afford the investment? And how do you move forward with that? Step number two is, are you even in a position to buy? And this is all around the financial situation of investing in a buy-to-let property. In general, if you quickly want to work out the financials, if you look at the average property price in your area, and then you look at about 30 to 35% of that property price, that will be your average cash in. That's taking account of your deposit, any fees, refurbishment, legal, broker, and stamp duty, and whatever else I've missed off of that list. But ultimately, that's roughly the amount of money that you'll need. Now, if you've got your own money, great. Get it out of the bank and get it working for you, but you don't need to rely on your own money. You may have heard the term, your network is your net worth, and you can utilize your network's money. You have to remember there's a lot of money in the world, and just because you don't have a lot in your bank account doesn't mean that your access to capital, your access to funds, your access to investment isn't there. Talk to the people around you, start telling them, look, what you're looking to achieve, and start attracting that money so you're ready for the next step. The next step is finding the property in the first place. Now, you can go old school and go direct on this, so you can work with estate agents and letting agents, online agents. Ultimately, that represents about 94% of the market right now, and so you should definitely be connecting. The downside is it obviously requires quite a lot of searching, proactive time, viewing, visiting, calling, all of that sort of thing. Other ways include marketing. Again, you can go offline with direct mail, leafleting, or you could do online ads, which one of my favorites is Facebook ads right now, but you could do Google ads, Bing ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, anything to get involved in the right people. Or if you don't have the time, the patience, or the education around it, you can use a sourcer, packager, or portfolio builder, whatever the name is, that will find these opportunities for you. That's what my main business does, by the way, Aspire Property Group. I help people with 100,000 or more to invest, help build their portfolio. If you want to find out more about that, put APG and one of the team will be in touch. So now that you've found the deal and you've made your offer, you've got it negotiated, now's time to move on to the next step. Just so you know, the average person, once they know what they're doing, if you're finding your own property, it's going to be 20 offers per deal that you actually get accepted. If you're agreeing a decent return on investment, that is 20 to 1 is what you should have in your head. The next thing you're going to do, if your estate agent or anyone else, is going to put forward a memo of sale, also known as a memorandum of sale. A memorandum of sale is just a one-pager that's saying that you're the buyer, this is the seller, these are the contact details, this is their solicitor, this is how much they're buying the property for, and here's the proposed completion timeline. And this is going to be issued to your solicitor, which is the next step, for them to start the conveyancing process. Once this is accepted and issued to both solicitors, you start the conveyancing process. And this is where it really does need a bit of patience, because it can take 12, 14, 16 weeks plus right now at the time of filming. And I've heard of some conveyancing going on for like 5-6 months. It happens. You do need to be patient. Top tip on this, by the way, one of the biggest bottlenecks in the conveyancing process is actually the vendor solicitor issuing the contract pack. Nothing can really start on your side as the buyer, like raising inquiries, searches, etc., until that contract pack has come in. So make sure that the vendor's got everything needed to the estate agent, and make sure you're chasing the estate agent if it is direct to an agent. If it's direct to vendor, make sure you're chasing the vendor and the solicitor to get that contract over. And I promise you that will cut down probably 3 to 4 weeks of your conveyancing process. At around the same time, you're now going to instruct your mortgage broker. My advice with this is get a good broker. You'll pay around £500 in upfront fees to the mortgage broker. And then when we're moving forward, you need to be as transparent as possible. So you need to share the rest of your portfolio. You need to tell them what you're thinking of doing with the property, because this is going to help them go and get you the right product for your mortgage. Most people at the beginning of their journey, they focus only on the interest rate of your mortgage. That is not the way to go. You need to be thinking about the flexibility of the provider. Do they have a harsh surveyor going around? Are they easy to get on with? Are they really slow right now? All of these things are really important. For example, I'm not going to name names, but there's a lender right now that has the lowest interest rate, but the chance of your property falling out of bed is so much higher because the lender is so incredibly slow. We're talking about an 8 to 10 week waiting time to actually get somebody out for survey. So make sure you're taking your broker's advice, and the cheapest interest rate is not always the best. The next thing is the survey. So during the finance process, they will send out a RICS surveyor. A RICS is Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. They are qualified experts in valuing property, and really they're just making sure of 2 things. Number one, that there's nothing horribly wrong with the property that you haven't actually told them about to make sure it's safe to lend on, and do they believe that the value of the property is fair in relation to what you're purchasing it for. That's a relatively quick process. I'd expect a response and a report on that RICS survey within about 72 hours of the survey taking place, and that's going to give you a really good indication of if you're going to get lending or not. Whilst you're seeing this on the front end, there's a lot of stuff going on in the back end, both on the finance side and the legal side. So on the finance side, they're doing background checks on you, anti-money laundering checks. They're going to check if you've got any CCJs, court county judgments, and a whole lot more. On the legal side, they're going to be raising inquiries, making sure they get satisfied, and doing searches on your property to make sure there's no contaminated land, there's no flooding, and a load more, okay? Now, once that is all in, you will get 2 things. Number one, you will get the mortgage offer, which is confirmation of the money, and they will indicate to your solicitor when they can get the money sent over. And your solicitor will issue a few different contracts, but the contract pack will include a report on title. Now, you need those 2 things in order to exchange on your property. Once you've got the report on title, which is basically saying, hey, everything's okay, here's a couple of things you need to be aware of, are you cool with that? Yes. And you've got the mortgage offer, you can exchange. Exchanging on the property is essentially legally tying in the purchase of the property, and on a majority of purchases, you typically exchange by sending over 10% of the overall purchase price. For example, if it's a £200,000 property, you will send over £20,000. Now, in the open market, so residential market, you might exchange on this Friday to complete the following Friday, which gives people time to move out and all of that sort of thing. In the investment world, so for buy-to-let properties, typically you will exchange and complete on the same day because people have moved on already. But you are legally tied in when that exchange happens, and then on the day of completion is when the property is officially legally yours and you can collect the keys. Once you now own the property, it's about getting it working for you as quickly as possible, because as soon as you own it, unless it's already tenanted, then it is a liability for you, and you want to quickly transform the liability into an asset. The way that you do this is just making sure that the EPC is up to an E. Right now it is going to a C. EPC is an energy performance certificate. You want to make sure that you've added value where you can. So making sure you've got your carbon monoxide detectors in, which is a legal requirement. Making sure that you've refurbished it to a standard that is rentable. Don't go over the top if you're using it as a rental, by the way. And then you get the tenant in as soon as possible. Make sure you either, if you're doing it directly, you make sure to do all of the checks, like giving them the EPC, the right to let, the right deposit, and all of the checks that you need to do on them, as well as the AST, which is the Assured Short Hold Tenancy, or give it to a reputable letting agent that will take care of that for you. But make sure you've got that up and running, get the tenant in, and make sure they're paying on time, and hey presto, you've gone from viewing a property to money in your bank in under 4 months time. Now, as I said, if you've been watching this and that's what you want to do, but you want to use a portfolio builder like me, and you've got 100 grand, 50 grand minimum, but ideally 100 grand or more, put APG in the comments. Or if you're watching this and thinking, I want to get educated by this person, I actually do paid for education as well. If you want to get involved in that, you can put education in the comments. I'll put the links in the description as well, but one of my team will be in touch. I hope this has been valuable. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comments. Let me know if there's any particular video that you would want me to make for you. If you did get value, it really helps me out tremendously if you lightly tap the like button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.